Hello and welcome to the Mechanist's Lair. This is a new settlement that becomes available if you get the Automatron add-on, and it is a bit different compared to the rest because it is underground. Since this place has a few unsafe elevated areas, I started building in this area that is linked to the control room. I placed a metal floor and metal balconies on the edge. This isn't enough though, there is another area above this one and I wanted to add a connection there as well. I opted with using the industrial bridge stairs and connected them directly from the hallway all the way up. It fit perfectly and filled me with joy, which propelled me towards more bridge building. The elevated area that I reached had another opening right next to the stairs, and since there were girders and shit in the way, I built some more stairs going down, and then a path across the open area of the settlement. I created one connection with the opposite elevated side, and then went towards building a large building in the middle of the open space, all connected to the bridge. This building will be used by the robots in various different ways that will be explained soon. For now, I simply built 3 stories of rooms, all with different walls indicating the difference of quality that each floor will contain. One important thing that I refuse to ignore is the magical aspect of Fallout 4, where things are allowed to float in the sky. Luckily, the game offers some nice industrial supports that go really well with the orange colors that can be found in this settlement, so I placed a bunch of them under both the bridge and the building. It's also very nice that the supports are snappable, not only with the bridge, but with themselves as well. Once the supports were placed, I still had a shitty situation with the building's integrity. Structural integrity, that is. The other integrity will always be questionable due to the activities that will happen in there, but that is beside the point. To get rid of the problem, I put these massive metallic triangle supports. These motherfuckers snap to the grid regardless of my mods. I wasn't able to change the alignment to be a bit further within the orange supports, so they look like this. Slightly shitty, but with much more integrity. With that part of the settlement being completed, I moved on to creating the next building, a small room above the settlement exit where the elevator is. This one is made out of wood as well, and since the floor is also floating, I went under it and added more metallic triangles. Even with them, shit seemed unstable, but I couldn't give enough fucks to continue doing something about it, so I left it as it is. Now I asked myself, what would Kevin Spacey do with these other areas? Unfortunately, I cannot ask him for advice directly because he is still busy working on the Space Turtle, but I assumed that he would build more industrial rooms. So that is exactly what I did. All the way on the top floor I placed a bunch of industrial rooms that nicely snapped together to create a pretty cool looking house with a hallway. A few triangle supports were necessary under it to hold on to the little realism that this game has. I was pretty pleased with this room, but I didn't stop there. I continued building it all over the place. I really liked the look of it, but I wasn't confident that Kevin Spacey would like it, so I went to the other side of the settlement and placed these industrial motherfuckers there as well. No more shitty ass rooms with shitty ass floors, just glorious industry. I decided to slow down a little bit and then noticed the pattern where all the entrances to the settlement have these industrial rooms, except for the entrances on the ground level. To fix this, I decided to build tunnels going from both entrances towards the little bridge that the Mechanist bitch lowered during the quest. After reaching the bridge with the tunnels, I had trouble connecting it all properly, so I built a few extra sections next to it and left it alone for now. I went up to the large building and started placing walls within the rooms. The general idea here was to create relatively secluded small sections on each floor that would be used by a single robot and his chosen partner. The entrance hall contains a holy wall of the Dear Lord with his sacred items and a rug. It also has a couple of benches for robots that will wait their turn and an espresso machine on a counter. That isn't actually an espresso machine, but an oiler for those that need it. The room where the action happens contains a red rug with 2 red couches and a table in the special corner, while the rest of the room has a gurney, wheelchair and a couple of other things. Unlike other rooms, this one is very friendly and supports the robot who potentially gets hurt, because this is technically the only legal part of the business that is being done here. Speaking of other rooms, the second floor room has a familiar layout to the first one, but in this case the couches are the same, with one being very used up. Facing these couches there are 4 stools, reserved for observers. The top floor is somewhat special and reserved for the sickest robotic motherfuckers out there. It contains a sleeping bag and a bunch of meat bags. The only being allowed to observe this is Kevin Spacey himself, in his very own chair. All this building suddenly opened my mind and I was ready to invite all the hookers in, but before doing that I realized that I had the option of tilting the objects in any direction. This is exactly what I did in order to get rid of this shitty bridge. Aligning the tunnel blocks was a bit tricky, but in the end it seemed much better. The top was still a bit fucked, but I can't do much about that. Seeing the tunnel going towards this hallway, I decided to continue adding industrial rooms here as well, and I ended up removing the stairs and placing the tunnel here as well. going all the way up. I'm not sure is the tunnel better than the stairs in this case, but I decided to use the tunnel because being indecisive leads to mass murder, and that is unnecessary at this moment. This tunnel also has orange supports under it, since it floated in the air a bit too much. Next on the list is the small room on the bridge. This place contains the robot builder and the payment system area that is linked with the Krupp manure settlement. The owner of both businesses is the same, and they are currently working on implementing the same system to the Ebershit farm, so synths can come and enjoy the settlement as well. To prevent agitated customers from losing their shit, the penetrator is here. He uses a shocker and shish kebab to exercise caution onto customers that refuse to comply with the rules. Onward to the industrial rooms. The first industrial room that I built, the one that has triangle supports, is the main executive room. This is where the business owner overlooks the entire settlement through the camera monitors and in case of problems uses the large console to activate the robotic electromagnetic pulse that fucks up all robots in the settlement and gives him time to fix things. The room under it is called the milk room. This is where the robots can buy milk. A lot of milk. Once they have the milk, they sit on the milk couch and pour the milk onto themselves while praising the milk god, Emmanuel Mulk. According to mythic legends, milk improves the vitality and endurance of robotic parts, but frankly I think the gods of Petardia fucked around and made this up. The other side of the settlement has another industrial room, but this one is a bit longer, so I quickly knew what to do here. First I placed a rug path and then surrounded it with barbed wire. This piece of shit wire took 10 years to place, because it doesn't snap. The gap between the fence and the wall contains more rugs, and on top of them there are two spotlights facing the middle of the barbed path. There is a shotgun turret in the middle of the spotlights, and there is a couch on the rugs parallel to the path. The edge of the room contains some workshop items in case of a problem with the machinery. The final part of this settlement is the ground, the land of rejected, discarded robots that fucked up. Aside from a few random cargo boxes filled with scrap robots, there is a boxing ring with a nice little platform that will be used as entertainment by the rotting robots. Since the ground has a few sections that are separated by the tunnels, the robots manage to build stairs that allow them to walk on top of the tunnels. The only problem is the fact that the outer layer of the tunnels is electrified, so walking on top of them is very painful and they have to do it very quickly. The other side of the ground has a bunch of wooden supports that are making sure the metal floor above doesn't collapse. The room itself contains couches and two spring riders that the robots can use and compete with each other who is going to look like the most pathetic robot ever. The room also has a table with benches where they can discuss their shitty situation. The entire ground is very depressing and sad. It actually makes me sad and I made it all up myself. How fucking sad is that? But anyway, it is time to do the tour and fully explain the settlement. We're gonna start from the elevator. Upon entering, we need to navigate a tunnel that eventually branches either up or right. Going up takes us to the hallway that leads to the rest of the settlement, but before going up, we can go left through the narrow gap. This is how rejected robots end up on the ground. After going up, we get to the first industrial room. This room is used for robot punishments and executions. The guilty robots need to walk down the path while being shamed by the surrounding robots, and once they reach the end, they stand and wait for their punishment. The robots sitting on the couch are the ones deciding what happens. Sometimes the punishment is an execution, and sometimes it is limb dismemberment. The spotlights are activated and the shotgun is fired. Then the robot is either used for scrap or moved to the ground. Going to the other side, we get to the robot assembly room, protected by the penetrator, and after moving forward, we get to the milk room. Going upstairs takes us to the executive room that has a nice view of the main building entrance. The first room of the main building is reserved for Masseur Mike. He has a baton and a grip claw that are used for massaging. He and his client first sit on the couches and discuss the treatment. Once agreement is reached, Mike begins to work. The client is fully protected by the business and all liabilities are put onto the owner. The second room is reserved for crippled Carol. She gets placed on the ruined couch and the client fucks the robotic shit out of her in any way he wants. 4 robots or humans can observe. The third room belongs to the pincher. This nasty motherfucker places the client and meat bags in the sleeping bag and pinches them. He pinches them so hard that even Kevin Spacey himself sometimes gets upset, mostly by the smell. The ground holds headless Hannah, who accidentally used her hook instead of the baton on the ass of a client. Her punishment was decapitation by shotgun. Another rejected robot that roams the ground is Hot Marie. She used to have a shish kebab along with a flamer, but she was found illegally modifying it to be more effective and using clients for personal gain, so her punishment was dismemberment. That would be all for the Mechanist Lair settlement. I hope you enjoyed. This place was quite fun to build at, especially because of the indoor feel that it has. Thanks for watching and make sure to let me know, would you want your own personal crippled Carol? I have been Petard, your glorious lord, and may the blessings of Petardia eternally touch your butt.